Hello and welcome to WCPO Lounge Acts. This is a at-home edition. I'm your host, Brian Neese. Today I'm joined by Cincinnati indie pop artist Ben Davis, better known as Bad Veins. Ben, thanks for joining me.
So happy to be here in my basement here with you.
It's a lot of things to talk about. You're actually staying pretty busy over quarantine. We'll talk about that in a minute. I want to get right into some music first, though. The first song we're going to hear is called I Turn Around, and this is kind of a tough song for you. You want to kind of tell me why?
Yeah, let's start with something super uplifting. I lost a very good friend of mine when I was younger, and the song is really about dealing with someone, and there was no closure involved. Someone just kind of vanishes from your life, so the song was about losing someone, and then. On the album version of the song, I had a few friends from other bands sing, including Scott Hutchison from Frightened Rabbit. He sang in the bridge of the song. And then, as we know, he also committed suicide. So the song kind of folded in on itself at that point. Like I wrote about something super sad, and then something sad happened after the fact. And so it's extra meaningful to me. And I do love the song. But yeah, it's called I Turn Around, which is the double take. I turn around. It's in the lyrics there too.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for performing it for us. Here we are, Bad Veins, I Turn Around.
I remember when you died, your hair looked like fire. So many ways you tried, so many plans backfired. And I remember when you stayed behind when we all moved so far away. And I remember how you always needed me. And I remember the last time. Will you remember me if we meet again? A long time from now, if I catch up with you somehow, the more time passes by, I turn around, less often I've found, but I'll catch up with you somehow. I remember when you died, your hair looked like fire. One of so many ways you tried, one of so many plans backfired. And I remember keeping score, who won or lost, who can remember anymore? What happened forever ago doesn't matter now, 'cause it's not the same without you around. Will you remember me if we meet again a long time from now? If I catch up with you somehow, the more time passes by, I turn around, less often I find, if I catch up with you somehow. I hear your voice, but it's fading into the noise that I wait in. I see you walk through my new town, and I have to stop. I turn around, I turn around, I turn around, I turn around. Will you remember me if we meet again a long time from now? If I catch up with you somehow, the more time passes by, I turn around less often, I've found, but I'll catch up with you somehow. When I was a kid years ago, wide-eyed with a future slow, you tried to get me to change my view, and I saw what ignoring dreams would do. There was a time it was hard to see. You shine a little light down on you and me. I see my life through passing years, and I don't want to still be right here. So how well can you see? How well can you see this ending? And how much will you take? How much will you take before you break? And how far will you go, knowing what you know now? So how well can you see? How well can you see this ending? You were a little scared, and I bet you haven't made up your mind just yet. You're not alone, but it's hard to tell, 'cause everybody else hides so well. I'm having trouble knowing who to trust. You shine a little light down on us. I gotta find a way through the maze. I wanna go to sleep, sleep for days. So how well can you see? How well can you you see this ending? And how much will you take? How much will you take before you break? And how far will you go, knowing what you know now? How much can you see? How well can you see this ending? And how well can you see? How well can you see this ending? How well can you see? How well can you see this ending?
And that was This Ending, another Bad Veins cut. What album is that on, Ben?
This Ending is on the self-titled, the first Bad Veins. I like the idea of it being the closer, but I think it was actually track 9 of 10. Go Home was the last track. But yeah, it's a closure song for sure. And also, it seems like a very thematically relevant song with today's world, when you see something that looks like a big mess and you're just like, oh my God, like how does this resolve itself in any logical way? It's a little depressing to think how many things are relevant all the time.
Finding new meaning to old struggles. I want to, before we talk about what's coming up for Bad Veins, I want to talk a little bit about how you got here, because Bad Veins has been around for a while, but you have been in the Cincinnati music scene for a lot longer. That you made a little bit of a mark with Giant Judy's. You played a lot of the traditional venues around Cincinnati, but Bad Veins obviously where you really kind of found your voice. And you've had some different members over the time helping you out on drums. But one thing that's stayed pretty consistent is Irene. For those out there who don't know Bad Veins and who Irene might be, let's introduce everybody to Irene.
I'll try to give a quick backstory of how Bad Veins started, and why it is what it is, and how Irene came to be. Irene is a 1973 Pioneer RT 1020L reel-to-reel tape deck that my father gave me. My dad's a musician, and he was trying to declutter his house, as he always is, and has always given me stuff. And I am also a bit of a declutterer, which you might not be able to tell from my background. I'm always trying to get rid of stuff. I'm trying to be a minimalist, and I've been trying for a long time. But
it takes a lot of effort sometimes.
Yeah. He had this reel-to-reel, and he's like, since you're making music, why don't you take this reel-to-reel? And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And so, post Giant Judy's, like 3-piece, 4-piece indie rock bands. After those had kind of fizzled out, and I was still writing songs, and I called it Bad Veins, which is an anagram for Ben Davis, which I don't think I've ever really told anybody in an interview. I've always hinted at it, but no, I've never told anybody. It's an anagram. I've always liked sci-fi, and sci-fi likes to use anagrams, and I thought it would be fun. So anyway, Bad Veins. Benjamin Davis I thought was kind of a boring name to hey, I want to make these indie rock records and call it Ben Davis. That's kind of boring.
Mix it up a little bit, literally and figuratively.
So I'm why not? So I'm making these recordings in my basement of my last house, not this basement. And another friend in a local band at the time asked me if I would like to open for their band at the Northside Tavern here in Cincinnati. And I'm like, you mean on stage, like play a show? What do you even mean? Like Bad Veins is a recording project. I had no ambition of playing live at all. It hadn't honestly crossed my mind. And he's like, oh man, you'll figure it out. Just play in front of our band. I'm like, okay. So I look over at the reel-to-reel sitting there and I'm like, what if I just dump all these things on there? Because my recordings at the time were like a lot of like Mellotron and, synthesizers and virtual instruments and choir things and orchestral things and samples. And
a lot of wall of sound type creation stuff.
For recording's sake, I wasn't thinking about a live setting. I was thinking about what sounds cool. So I made these big ornate arrangements, and so I'm like, okay, I'll dump it all onto the tape. And so I've got this 70s tape machine, and I've been wearing my dad's Vietnam jacket since I was like in high school. He was a 6 foot tall, 130 pound scrapping dude, just like I am. So like, it's always fit me. So I had this Vietnam jacket and this like 70s tape machine from like the similar era. And I'm like, I feel like these things kind of work together stylistically. And then I had, since I'm using backing tracks and I got to have some speakers that these backing tracks are going to come out of. And I needed like a mixer, and because I'm going to play guitar, I'm going to play a little keyboard. I've always liked Tom Waits and the way he like distort his voice, and Sparkle Horse. And they use like a megaphone sometimes. And so I found an old vintage military megaphone, which blended into the style. So then I'm curious how to make a megaphone sound at something you can clip on a mic stand. So I could play guitar, but also sing through a megaphone. So I start thinking about telephones, like, vintage clamshell hang-up telephones. And I found one at an antique mall. I started splicing wires, and it started working as a mic, like having very little knowledge of like the build of a telephone. Like somehow I touched the wrong wires, the right wires, and the speaker part started functioning as the microphone. So I'm like,
oh, okay,
like that's even better. So because you can mount it, and the top is the mic. So I kind of like started out of the gate with my very first solo performance with this like branding kind of pre-made. Since I have like preamps and mixers and everything, I built this box to hold all of it, and then my wife painted these flowers here on the box. So that box has been with me for over a decade. So then I had like these flowers and military, and like the branding was just kind of there from day one. And
I didn't know you put that telephone thing together yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember right, I literally so I got a guitar cord, like a 1/4-inch cable, and I cut it. And then I got a telephone cable and I cut it. And then I just touched wires going, hello, 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 hello. And then I heard it. I'm like, it works. Yep. I took it up, and that was that. And so I played a solo show with a lot of the songs that ended up being on the first Bad Veins record. And then I recruited a drummer kind of accidentally. Somebody's like, hey, you want a drummer? And I was like, yeah. So I got a first drummer, and it was kind of out of the gate. We played our first show together, and it was packed, and we just kind of fell into a trajectory. Like we got invited to go play some big showcases in New York. Like literally, like the third show was a big showcase in New York.
One of the things that always struck me about Irene and having that tape machine on stage with you is that, a lot of bands these days play with backing tracks, and it can seem disingenuous to have, those tracks playing coming from nowhere, but you kind of embraced it and put the tracks on stage with you, made it transparent. Yes, I'm playing some pre-recorded stuff.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And for that very reason, like, I feel like if you put it on display and it's right next to you, center stage, like it's usually right in between everybody, it's kind of like this self-aware, like, I dare you to accuse me of trying to keep a secret. Like it is right there, plain as day. And it's always been like that. And even like there have been times where we've been forced to use digital backing tracks because we wanted to have like a pre-programmed light show in time with music, and we might use a computer. But like even then we like still have Irene up, still spinning. Like you are not going to accuse me of trying to pull one over. It's like, we have tracks. Plus the sounds that they're making are like what am I going to do? Get a choir up here? You hear the choir, don't you?
You've got a single that's basically dropping now.
Yeah.
Tell me about the single and why you didn't play it for us for this.
That's funny. First of all, the song is called Helicopter. And, the chorus of the lyrics in the chorus are like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to stay. Helicopter, come take me away. Which just feels more and more relevant all the time. You're like, what a mess we're in. And that's really what the song is about, like feeling like you're in a mess. There's a little bit of self-aware, ironic resignation of like, just take me out of this mess. And the reason I did not play it is because, to be honest, it's like a very synth-driven pop song, and I haven't figured out how I want to do it yet in the quiet, reflective.
Since we're not going to hear it in this, where can people find Helicopter if they want to check out your single?
Helicopter is released on this Friday, and it will be on Spotify. It should be on all the streaming services. Right now, there's like a link on badveins.com, which should take you to it. But
cool.
Tracks are not hard to find anymore. But it's called Helicopter. Should be easy. I don't know.
And this is part of a album you have done. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I finished the third Bad Veins record. There's 10 tracks. Really happy with them. And we were trying to schedule the release when this, quarantine hit, and we decided that like releasing a whole record right now would be kind of weird because I wouldn't get a tour on it. But I don't want it to just get older and older and just wait indefinitely. So we decided we were going to start releasing song by song, like every few weeks, every 6 weeks, and put a music video out with them. We don't have a hard schedule, but we're just going to like just strategically like keep pushing new material out since it's all done. And if we put out a full length record, it would just kind of like fade away and be old before you knew it. But this way we can kind of like stretch out the release, and it gives me time to like work on music videos and work on other promotional material like while I'm quarantined. So like right before I did this call with you, I had a meeting about a music video with a videographer guy, and we're like fleshing out ideas. And it's just weird what you can accomplish remotely with people around the country. Like have a meeting with this guy over here and then this woman over here. And then we're all working on these projects, and it's all done on computers and like no real world interaction. It's very bizarre, but
yeah, 2020.
Yeah. But it's kind of fun because we get to like, release things over time, and everybody's keeping busy, and there's new material to release. And yeah, I mean, it's weird to be this busy during quarantine. Like you think like, yeah, I'm just going to kick back and play Animal Crossing and do nothing. It's like, nope, you're going to work all day, every day, and you're going to feel stress and anxiety and work.
I know the situation is different for every musician, but it's good to see at least an example of a musician who's staying busy during quarantine.
I don't mean to sound like I'm complaining. I'm just being whiny, but I'm very happy to be in a position to have things to do.
I want to move on to some more music now. The next song you played for us is called Arrow, and This is also a non-album track. Tell me about Arrow.
Arrow got put out as a digital single right as we were starting to like. It's part of the same collection of tracks. Like it's supposed to come out with these singles, but we have a music video coming out for it in another month or so, probably around the end of July. There's a new video. Okay. And I really like this song. It's really like, I honestly believe that like an outside perspective can tell you just as much about your own art as you as the artist can say about it. Because you can just look at the face of what it is, and it can mean something different to everybody. And what it means to me is unclear sometimes. But it's like, why did I write a song about I'll never see the world like most do, but with this like, or will never see the world like most do? It's like clearly I feel some sort of like counterculture confusion or angst, and it's manifesting itself in a song. And your guess is as good as mine, really. But I do like the song quite a bit.
That's a great description. All right. Well, without any further ado, then let's check out this at-home performance from Bad Veins with Arrow.
some news for you, and I know just where to start. I've got to choose to do what I love, even though it's hard. I'm shaking hands, but I'm coming undone. We're making plans, but we'll break every one. We'll never do what we're supposed to. We'll never see the world like most do. Never be on the straight and narrow. We'll never go straight as an arrow. We'll never do what we're supposed to. I'll never understand how most do. Even if I try, we don't fit in. I know we'll never go straight as an arrow. So much to say, but I'll say nothing at all. So many moves to make, but I'll just stand here against the wall. We're up all night when nobody can see. We stand upright, but we're wild as can be. We'll never do what we're supposed to. We'll never see the world like most do. Never be on the straight and narrow. We'll never go straight as an arrow. We'll never do what we're supposed to. I'll never understand how most do. Even if I try, we don't fit in. I know we'll never go straight as an arrow. Lately I feel naked, like I won't live up. We're not gonna make it if we just give up. Give up, give up. We'll never do what we're supposed to. We'll never see the world like most do. Never be on the straight and narrow. We'll never go straight as an arrow. We'll never do what we're supposed to. I'll never understand how most do. Even if I try, we don't fit in. I know we'll never go straight as an arrow. Oh, 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 oh. Help me, can you help me? I am lost without you, tell me. Can you tell me how to get out from between what I say and what I mean? 'Cause I can't take it back. Once I've said it, I can't take it down. Now it's written in the sky. But if there'll ever be a perfect time to try, right now I'm standing here, it's staring right between my eyes. And I'll follow through and I will tell the truth. But I would be lying if I said I never hated to. Oh no, how do I do that I'm supposed to. I'm not supposed to go all cross-eyed trying to see what is right for you or me. But if there'll ever be a perfect time to try, right now I'm standing here and staring right between my eyes, and I'll follow through and I will tell the truth. But I would be lying if I said I never hated to. Right now I'm standing here and staring right between my eyes, and I'll follow through and I will tell the truth. But I would be lying if I said I never hated to. Oh no, help me, can you help me? I am lost without you, tell me. Can you tell me how to get out from between what I say and what I mean?
And that was Cross-Eyed. A couple pieces on guitar, a couple pieces on piano. I like that you mixed it up there.
Thanks. Trying to keep it interesting if I can.
Ben, I really appreciate you joining us to give us some at-home renditions of some Bad Veins songs while we're on quarantine. We can still get our music fix. You mentioned some singles. What else should we be looking forward to for Bad Veins over the next several months while we're in quarantine? You've got some stuff on the plate. Yeah.
I mean, just keep an eye on Bad Veins on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And I just downloaded TikTok because everybody keeps talking about it. Oh, you got to see this thing. So I don't know. I might start posting on there. There post 0 followers. I'm not going to be doing like the Roger Rabbit or anything like that. No, God knows I've tried and can't do it. But no, just follow Spotify, streaming services and social media. I mean, that's how you keep track of people. And I'm going to try to keep material coming. So if there's any interest, by all means, smash that like button.
I like your YouTube voice a lot. Yeah, so more singles coming out, some music videos coming out. If you like what you heard here, go check them out. It's badveins.com or Bad Veins on literally any platform you can find. Ben Davis of Bad Veins, thanks again for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me. It was really fun to have another little project here down in the basement.
And if you want to see more WCPO Lounge Acts, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and anywhere you find podcasts. Thanks again, Ben.
Thanks, Brian.